What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. I hope you guys are ready for today, because we got some bangers coming out. A lot of final issues. Now, to start all of this off, we have Rise of the Powers of X. This is issue number 10, and this is the big one, guys. This is the Phoenix versus Dominion. Enigma versus Jean Grey. Everything has been building to this single moment. Hope's sacrifice, the loss of Krakoa, the defeat of Nimrod, and there is going to be a lot to discuss at the end of this comic. When it comes to the Krakoan era, there's only one more issue left after this, because we're not counting that Miss Marvel whatever it is that is currently going on. But the next issue is going to be issue number 35 of X-Men. That will bring us into our next era. Before we hop into this, make sure that you guys do check out the final issue of Wolverine, the final resolution of who wins between Sabretooth and Logan. And then the last video we're going to be throwing up is Avengers Twilight. We finally get an answer to if Thor could kill Hulk. So, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we have the Phoenix Reborn. The Phoenix is beginning, and it is time for the Phoenix to feed. But not like before. No, this time is different. This is where the Phoenix begins, where the flame of hope grows. The Phoenix is Jean Grey, and Jean Grey is the Phoenix. But the Phoenix is not just Jean Grey. The Phoenix is taking us to the waiting room, or all the mutants from the waiting room. Every mutant that was in heaven, the one created by the Scarlet Witch, they have been sitting here waiting to become part of the Phoenix. On this day, resurrection ends, and the Phoenix begins. Every mutant soul burns in the Phoenix. Feathers and wings beyond comprehension, and the talons of a truly focused totality of mutant kind itself. The Phoenix is every mutant, now and forever. Absorbing all the mutants in the waiting room, Jean Grey and the Phoenix take off to face the Dominion. And it doesn't take long for him to show his face. But the Phoenix quickly finds herself outnumbered. All the Dominions have descended from overspace. Enigma, with all of them, they plan to end the Phoenix. And Jean stands before them, ready to fight every single one of them if she must. But this is where things go sideways for Enigma, because all the other Dominions, they turn their backs on Enigma. The way that the Dominions see it, they're past all this petty warfare, all this squabbling, all of this linear thinking, having fear of something. And they let him know to truly become a Dominion, it means escaping all of this. When all other possibles are you, how can you fear them? Choosing to return to war and genocide. This means continuing to see others as others rather than possible sames. What they're telling Enigma is that you may become a Dominion, but you haven't ascended as you properly should have. They let Jean Grey and the Phoenix know that we wish you no harm. You are now and forever. And they are outside of that. There is no overlap. So any actions you take to defend your domain, it's acceptable to all Dominions. As they get an audio saying we will see you soon, never, and always, the Dominions take off. And this is where Enigma is now on the run. Now this is what takes us to Professor X. He has made his way into the enemy's nesting. He is at Orchis HQ. He has finally met the person that he has done all of this for. He finally runs into Moira. He tells her that he is here to open her mind. That if they're gonna talk, it should be something more suitable. With Charles psychically connecting to her, she believes at first this shouldn't be possible. She's a robot. That he shouldn't be able to do a telepathic takeover. That he can't even project. She has defenses in place for all of this. But he lets her know that this isn't a takeover. This is what he calls a signal, that she is more than free to leave at any time she chooses. But she is a thinking creature, and touched the astral plane. A long time ago, he had left a beacon in her. one that he could guide this message to her. He wants her to remember what happened. And she already knows. Charles came to kill her. He had even pulled the trigger. But at the end, he let her live. He was convinced to follow another route, one that had convinced him to really believe and have faith in her better nature. He told himself that this was unlikely, but still he finds himself right here at this moment. And so as their conversation continues on, we pick up with Jean and Enigma. As Jean is fighting him, trying to find him throughout time, Enigma is hiding anywhere he can. Now Jean is the Phoenix. The Phoenix is Jean, now and forever. They're like planets orbiting. Sometimes they're very close, sometimes they're far away. At the time of the Phoenix's birth, these two are as close as they can possibly get to one another. Jean can move out of time, but thanks to Moira, Enigma is out of more times. They could possibly kill him if they could find him. All he really has to do is ensure that she is gone. And so he does small things like strengthen her parents' will, not let her go to the school. But Jean notices this and she changes it. This is all a cat and mouse game. Enigma's going through time trying to change things in Jean's life, and Jean is able to pick it up just in the nick of time and reverse it back to how it was. But it's only gonna take one mistake to change everything. One small thing that Jean doesn't catch, and her life is altered forever. As we hop over back to Professor Xavier, he lets Moira know that I knew you would join Enigma. I knew your nature, I knew what you would do after you learned everything that you did learn. But he also knew that if he could find a way into Orchis, if he could join the enemy, then maybe he could get back to her. Maybe there was a chance to turn her around, to change her. And of course, Moira, she's hesitant to even accept this as an idea. She has finally escaped her fate after all of these tries. Now, Charles is asking her to go backwards. But Charles asks her to consider. This Dominion has grown from Sinister. It is Nathaniel Essex. This is the man that you will be making king of the universe. Now you must ask yourself, can you stand idly by and enable this? Can you sit by his side while he does everything that he is going to do? Do you have the conscience to live with this forever? Because that's exactly what's gonna happen. And even if Moira wanted to do something, she says that she couldn't. That Enigma would chew her up and spit her out. But Charles lets her know that there is an option. Right now, Jean is fighting him across all that there ever was and will be. But she is unable to land a blow because she can't find him. He tells Moira that if you activate the signal that he put in her brain at 13 years old, Jean will be able to find you. That everything he has done, the murders, the betrayal, colluding with Mother Righteous to understand the Phoenix, to understand it enough to put all of this together. He has done it all to be here at this moment, to ask Moira to be a better person. And Moira simply wanted to live, to not be trapped. Asking Charles why he really is doing all of this. He says at the start of this, he believed in Moira. She took them to Krakoa, and for a while that place was wonderful. This all came from Charles believing in Moira, and he is able to convince her. Moira sends out the signal to Jean Grey, telling Jean to come and get her. In a matter of moments, the Phoenix arrives and we see Moira burn to a crisp. With Moira taken out of the picture, Enigma must face the Phoenix one-on-one. A face-to-face brawl. But it doesn't matter how powerful Enigma is. He is only one. And the Phoenix, she is the X-Men. This is where we see the spirits from every X-Men that was in the waiting room. Every X-Men that was absorbed into the Phoenix. They come forth and they dominate. Enigma had seen every situation and he believed that he had won. But this never happened before. This doesn't happen. He thinks maybe he can hide, that he can get away. But this is the end of Enigma. As the Phoenix drives Wolverine claws right through the skull of Enigma. The claws of the Phoenix herself. The talons that are a weapon of devastating amounts. This is what dropped this Dominion out of existence. And so with the return of Jean, everybody celebrates. The day has been won. Enigma has been defeated. Jean immediately going into the arms of Cyclops, grabbing hold of him and kissing him. Rasputin's still around and looking to end Sinister's life. Nobody knows where he is. Destiny's saying that he's elsewhere, but not to worry, because he will get his in due time. As we pick up 1 week later, we pick up with Charles Xavier sitting on a bench. He sits and he waits for the arrival of the cavalry. He knew that they would come as soon as he showed his face again. Guns drawn, Professor Xavier is taken into custody. This is what also takes us to an unknown timeline. Now, New Krakoa still technically exists. It exists in the White Hot Room. There are 200,000 mutants there that are starting a new Krakoa over. Maybe this time they can actually have a nation of peace. Enigma's fragments have been scattered across all reality. Really, this is just the Phoenix dicing up Enigma and spreading him as a message to anybody that might ever threaten them again. But this timeline that they're showing us, this is Moira. The moment that her mutant gene is supposed to activate, it doesn't. Moira is finally free. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Man, was that one heck of a story. So I think what they're really telling us is that Resurrection's done. Now, we still technically have the 5, so Resurrection is still technically on the board, but there's nobody left in the waiting room. The mutant heaven is now empty. So anybody that hasn't been resurrected or anybody that is not in the White Hot Room with those 200,000 plus mutants, we can consider them permanently gone, at least until somebody decides to do something with fancy writing and maybe bring back Resurrection in some whatever. So it looks like it's possible we're not going to see someone like Tarn the Uncaring, which is a big disappointment for me. But I think my predictions came out right. You know, they really amped this up as the end of Krakoan era coming to an end, but it's still hugely important moving forward in the overall story. There's still New Krakoa. That place still exists with 200,000 mutants trying to build a nation of peace. More than likely, this is going to come out much better than how Krakoa turned out to begin with, specifically because of the leadership no longer in play, the Quiet Council no longer being made up of Charles Xavier, Magneto, Storm, etc., etc. But we still get to see some of the mutants. Laktuka is still out there, and Arakko still exists. That place didn't just disappear. This, like I said from the get-go, this is the best way to do the story, and I'm glad they did it this way. Arakko still exists, so they can use those stories at any time they choose, use any mutant, create new mutants, have so much fun with it, have the creative freedom to do all of that stuff. But then we still have the main mutant groups, which they're moving forward with from the new series that is picking up the new era of X-Men, if you will, from the ashes. I think, like I said, I think this is the best way you could have done it. And it does look like Professor Xavier is going to be Prisoner X. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything that is going on with this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It's going to get you completely caught up on everything that has been going on with the ending of the Krakoan era. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. This is very much like Patreon, joining the membership with multiple different tiers from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to getting comics sent to your home every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you're getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.